From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
Good morning from the stateside. Good afternoon to Paris, France. Good stuff. We got a good one here today, this morning, this afternoon, here on the Conversation Nutrition Edition, featuring the lovely nutritionist coach, Catherine Githu. We're talking about insulin resistance. What if it's not all about sugar? Insulin resistance. What if it's not all about sugar? Let's talk about it. Let's bring Catherine in. Let's get this thing started. Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Good afternoon. How are you? How's everything over in France?
Oh, where I am, things are beautiful.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good
so I
stuff.
believe everyone is well. Yeah, we have a good weather. Last time I was almost roasting here.
Yeah,
Today
it
it's
was
good.
kind of hot. It's kind of hot.
We have calm weather, so things seems to be okay. What about you on your side? How are you doing?
Everything's good. Everything's fine. I can't complain. Good stuff. Everything's good.
That's beautiful.
Everything is well. So insulin.
Gratitude. Sorry.
I say so insulin.
Insulin.
You know, in the Black community, we suffer with what we call, us Black folks here in the States, we call it sugar.
Oh,
We suffer with the sugar. That's the glucose level for those who are aware of it. So we suffer
okay.
with those glucose levels. So this is actually going to be a good one. I have a buddy of mine at the gym who suffers really bad with his glucose levels, and he has to
Okay.
take insulin shots,
Okay.
during his workout breaks and whatnot. So he suffers really bad
Oh,
with it.
I'm sorry for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Good stuff. Well, take it
Yeah.
away.
Well, thank you and welcome everyone. And today we are looking at insulin resistance. What if it's not all about sugar? So, in this episode, it's more diving deeper. What are the root causes of insulin resistance? And you're going to understand what is it, what causes it, and what diseases are related to insulin resistance. And at the end, what can you do to resolve the insulin sensitivity in this case, to get back insulin sensitivity, because we all want to have that insulin sensitivity. So to start with, I'll explain what is insulin. Insulin is a hormone, vital hormone that it's essential for our body, and it has about 20 activities roles that it plays in our body. So it is involved in temperature of the body. It is involved in transporting food that we eat into the cells, among other things. So when we talk about insulin resistance, it's when the cells are not taking the insulin. Insulin is made in pancreas by beta cells. We're not going to have those scientific words. Insulin is made by pancreas when we eat. So, like now, you're eating there or you're drinking something, and the system is sending the brain is telling the pancreas to produce insulin so that it can come and take away the whatever you're taking. Now you're drinking. If that drink has carbohydrates or has glucose, the insulin is going to come in and take that glucose transport the glucose into the cells. Mostly it's the liver and the muscles. Okay. So it goes with, we always talk about sugar, like the glucose, but everything that you eat, whether it's fat, whether it's protein, the insulin is responsible of transporting those nutrients into the cells. Okay. So when someone is insulin resistant, that means your body has inability of responding. The cells, they are not responding to the insulin. So the insulin doesn't take the food, doesn't transport the food where they're supposed to go into the cells. So when we explain like that, we are asked, the question that comes is, what causes the insulin not to be accepted by the cell? So like insulin is like you get, imagine you have your house, and inside your house you have visitors. Maybe you're having some party, and then you have people who want to come inside your house, and when they knock the door, that is insulin. It's like, hey, my house is full, I can't pick you anyone else, right?
Right.
I don't know why you guys, it happens here in France, for example, when you want to go to a restaurant and the restaurant is full, you have to queue because they don't have places to put you. So you have to queue and wait till some customers can leave so that you have that place. So insulin is like, so the cell is closed, and when there is sugar, there is fat, and there all that food, the insulin comes and says, "Hey, I have some energy. I have some food for you. Can you open up?" The insulin resistant, they will not open. When you have insulin sensitivity, the cells opens, take the sugar, it's hungry, and inside the cells we have mitochondria that that creates the energy. So the food you eat goes to the cell. In the cell we have mitochondria that those are the powerhouses. These are the ones that create the energy.
Mhm.
So to go deep into understanding what insulin resistant is you go into the cell and you ask, why is the cell not opening? Why is it not letting the insulin to get inside? And there are several reasons why the insulin resistance comes up. Most of the times when you're talking about diabetes, we just think of the salt of the sugar. So it's like, even
Mhm.
me, I've told people, all you need is you cut sugar. That's all in the mainstream that we hear. I've listened to so many doctors and all that we hear. You cut up the glucose, you are cool.
Right.
But here are a few things that can cause insulin resistant. It can be inflammation. So the cell could be inflamed, and that will interfere with the signaling of insulin. Lipid toxicity, meaning that if you're used to eating a diet that is high in fat, the fats are going to be stored. Let me go back. When you eat food, like you're going to have a lunch now, a breakfast, sorry for you. And in that food, that meal, you have proteins, you have fat, you have carbohydrates. Okay, they don't all get digested the same way. So because the body uses glucose fast as the fuel, it's going to take the carbohydrates, turn them into glucose, and that is going to be used as fuel. What is going to happen to the fat and the protein? The proteins are going to be sent to the muscles to be synthesized to create muscles. These are amino acids, so they're going everywhere to repair, for growth, and all that. Healing as well. What about the fat? The fat goes directly to the storage. It goes to the fatty cells. Okay. You only use fat once you don't have glucose that is circulating. Okay. So
Gotcha.
when it happens to lipid toxicity is when you have been eating food that is high in fat, and especially saturated fat, and the cells is just putting the fat. Okay, it's just talking. It's not a problematic if it stores the fat where it's supposed to be stored. We all have fatty cells. That's why we grow fat. I understood that we all come with a number of given cells that are fatty cells, And some people will have more fatty cells than others. So they can grow fat and they don't have any disease because they're having that potential of storing fat. And so when we eat fat or when we eat more food than we're supposed to eat, the food is going to be turned into fat and is going to be stored in the fatty cells.
Right.
Now, the problem comes when it's not stored in the fatty cells, but it's stored in the liver. That's where we start having liver disease, fatty disease, liver fatty disease, or the fat is stored in the muscles. And that's where the fat can be the cause of insulin resistance.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, the other thing was mitochondria. I talked about mitochondria. Mitochondria is the where we have the cells. It's the center of the cells, making the. It's not nuclear, but it's where we are making the energy. And sometimes, for various reasons that I'm not going to state here, mitochondria can dysfunction, can start not functioning well. And that on itself is going to create insulin resistance because now the cells are not responding properly to the energy that is coming in. Okay.
Quick question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know this is an asinine question, but gotta ask it.
Yeah.
Is eating too much, and if you're already having a problem with insulin resistance, is eating too much, can it cause a problem? Can it cause a bigger problem?
Of course, it's going to cause a lot of problems because one, already you're overeating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look at you, take an example of your fridge, right? It has a capacity it can take. You go, you do shopping, you come, you stuff your fridge with all the things you want, and it doesn't have any space. What are you going to do with the food that is extra? You're gonna pack it somewhere else.
Yeah, got to, yeah.
So the body is going to store that somewhere else, and that somewhere else depends where. If it's going to the fatty cells that are in adipose tissues next to the skins, that's okay. We are just going to grow fat. But if that extra is going to be stored in the liver, we're going to have issues with the dysfunction of the liver. And we know that liver has almost 500 functions. So it's going to affect the liver. It can go to the muscles, and it can also go next to the organs. That's why we have the problem with visceral fat, where it's along the abdominal. Like if you see people having these big tummies, that's very dangerous because now that is the fat that is being deposited where it's not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's next to the organs. And while someone, like if you have someone has muscles or fat on the legs or the boots or the arms, that fat is not necessarily dangerous for that person than the fat that is accumulating next to the organs. Okay.
Which is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. So every time you eat extra, it doesn't matter what you're eating. Even if you eat proteins, if you eat a lot of fruits and they are extra, somehow your body has to do something with that extra thing. It's
Right.
going to turn the food into fat to be stored. Okay. That's why, for example, I don't know whether you have heard a lot of people talking about eating fruits or maybe, yeah, eating fruits, for example. There are some people, doctors, who say you're not supposed to be eating a lot of fruits because when human was evaluating, the evolution was there was scarcity of food. And so during the summer season, they could eat a lot because there is going to be scarcity of food during the winter. But
Right.
that you look just when you're looking from the Western culture, the context. Because if you're in equatorial, you're not lacking food, right? But
Right.
we understood also that people used to walk a lot, and we grew up this way. The only problem is that today's world, the modern world, we are more seated. We are not walking. We are not working things that are using our muscles, and so we are continually eating, and that continuous feeding is creating no discharge and overload. Okay. Where it can go, leading to mitochondrial dysfunction because the cells are being overloaded, can lead to lipotoxicity where the lipids are becoming too much and the cell can deal with it. Okay, the other thing that can cause insulin resistance is the circadian rhythm misalignment, meaning that we are not respecting the night and the day system rhythm. Why? Because insulin sensitivity follows a daily rhythm on, it's like an internal clock, okay, which controls hormonal release that insulin and cortisol, they're high during the morning waking hours and they are low during the evening. You need the melatonin in the afternoon, in the evening. So if we're having all these bright lights at night, the body is not connected, it's not switching into sleeping mode and preserving. The night also, that system is also controls the body temperature, enzyme functions, mitochondria energy cycles, and when is the best time to process food. Like if you eat in the evening, your food is not going to process because the system is shutting down to rest and repair. So insulin sensitivity, as I said, is high in the morning and lowest in the evening as you sleep. So if someone is eating a meal at night, that meal is not going to be digested. It's going to be creating a fat storage. That's how
Let
we
me
also end up fat. Yeah.
let's hover around that for a quick second, right?
Yeah.
I started eating like 5 p.m. That was my cutoff. 5 p.m. That's it. I don't
Okay.
have anything after that. If I have anything after 5, would be like some fruit. Thanks to you.
Okay.
I'd have some fruit. If I get a little hungry, I have a
Yeah.
little fruit before bedtime. When I tell
That's
you,
beautiful.
my body clock turns on 5:15 every single morning, and I feel
Wow.
great
That's
every single
awesome.
morning. I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Okay.
5 years. So yeah, that's it actually works, man, when you in tune with your body, in tune
Yeah.
with
When
that,
you
that
tune with,
clock and the system, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember. Sorry, go on.
yeah, I was telling my brother, I was like, dude, you have to cut yourself off when it's time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed because your body knows it. But if you constantly up eating snacks and all that stuff, you're gonna be off. Your entire system is gonna be off.
I
It's gonna
totally
be
agree.
completely off. Yeah. I said you gotta get on
Totally.
that time clock. Your body's not gonna get on your time. You got to get on your body's time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are so much disconnected because we think like like we are here to work. Okay, we are here to constantly be productive.
That's right.
We forget that we came here first to experience life and experience life in the best way we can. And I noticed, like when I started blogging, I was sleeping very late, and I would stay up to maybe 11 o'clock, and I wake up at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, not good.
And I saw the difference when I started sleeping and just I don't have alarm that's waking me up. I
Hmm.
just have to sleep early in the morning, like in the evening. Like sometimes I would tell people, like at 17 when my daughter comes up from school, it's like, yeah, we are having our lunch, our meal. And like people are like, oh, what do you mean you're having your meal that time? It's because Hash is going to sleep maybe at 2 p.m. What do you call that? 20 or that is 8 p.m.
Hmm.
And we need that 2 hours for her to digest her food. Okay. And we need time to space out to let the body have the time to digest and then can go and repair itself at night. So
Right.
yeah, that is circadian rhythm is really important. Then another thing that can cause insulin resistance is leaky gut. That's something that me I didn't know, and Leaky gut, for those who don't know, is when you have, we have the small intestine, they're circle like that, and it's just like the way your mouth is up to the anus, it's just a hollow, and the small intestines is where the food is absorbed. And so some reasons that the stomach, the lining can be torn, and when it's torn, some, we call these bacteria toxins, can get inside. So we have these bacteria toxins that when they are still in the intestines inside the hole,
Mm-hmm.
they cause no problem. But when you have those tears, they're now, that's when we call leaky gut. The gut is leaking into the bloodstream, and you get these toxins that are going to come into the circulation, and they can attach themselves to the liver immune system, and there they're going to cause what is called inflammation, insulin resistant in the liver. Okay, they can also attach themselves to the muscles. Another cause of insulin resistance is micronutrients deficiency. That means if you're lacking some minerals and vitamins that are core factors that are supposed to activate the insulin receptors, because you have insulin, but you also have insulin receptors where they are getting to open up when the insulin comes in. And magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc are responsible of activating those insulin receptors. So we know studies show that, especially in America, because as most of the studies are done in the American people, they are very low in vitamin D and they are very low in magnesium.
Right.
Okay, so
I
that
find
on
that
its
quite
own, it's the
I find that quite
so
interesting that all studies are done on Americans.
most of the studies that they are
Right.
done in the, it's like how can you say, if there were 100 papers, scientific papers done, we are reading, let's say 80% are done in America. Okay. And even if they are not done in America, they are done by Americans in other populations. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have also omega-3, zinc, B12, and manganese that are essential for pancreas to make the beta cells. The beta cells are the ones that makes insulin.
Right.
So vitamin D regulates insulin secretion and sensitivity. So lack of micronutrient itself can cause insulin resistance. So we can all talk about blood glucose, but when you're not having these nutrients, you're going to cause the insulin resistance. The last one, it's sleep. You can have a good diet, you can exercise and do all you want, but for insulin to work, it needs both secretion and sensitivity. And the lack of sleep will impair the B cells secretion of insulin, the B cells in the pancreas.
Right.
Like,
Now
okay.
that's as far as the lack of sleep. That's my gym buddy's entire
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Like when we're working out, I'm talking to him. It's like, yeah, I was up watching this movie till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, you get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock to come to the gym. I said, man, you're
Mm.
not getting the adequate rest.
Hmm. Hmm.
But he's hard headed. He
Yeah,
don't
but
listen.
it's hard because they are so, like, here I am focusing, like, if you have poor sleep, it's going to cause insulin resistance.
Right.
And one is going also to increase cortisol, and cortisol is like the anti-insulin, because when you have cortisol, it's going to impair the work of insulin. But now when you angle and you look at that person, that person has a very different reasons why he's not sleeping. One, it can be because he has this glucose, he has this insulin resistance, but he can also have other factors why he is not having a good sleep in the first place.
Right.
So we have seen those 6 factors that can cause insulin resistance. Okay, if I can go back to them again very quickly, if I don't get lost with my notes. So I talked about mitochondria. I talked about inflammation, lipid toxicity. We talked about circadian alignment, gut, that is leaky gut, micronutrients,
Hmm.
and so sleep. Okay, those are 6 causes of insulin resistant. So
Right.
you can fall anywhere. It's not all about fat, it's not all about sugar. There are some metabolic stuff that are happening inside the cell that are not letting the cell to work properly. Okay.
Yeah. This podcast is so important to
Hmm.
those who are actually interested in nutrition and just being all around your overall health, man.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm sitting here dumbfounded listening to this information.
Hmm.
I'm thinking, insulin and sugar is goes hand in hand. It doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't.
Actually, when we talk too much about glucose, about we don't talk much of insulin. We talk about the glucose, and that is a symptom.
Exactly.
No, it's just like the way, like I have autoimmune disease. I go, I say I have pain, and the doctor says, "Oh, let's nab the pain."
Right.
And so I have the medication for painkillers. So I am going to feel okay because I don't have the pain, but we never looked at what was causing the pain. So
Right.
that's how the glucose stuff goes up. Like we're all talking glucose monitoring stuff. There are a lot of people who are very influencing, who have how to flatten your glucose curves, how to hack your body and your food not to have that glucose spike. But
Right.
that is just the tip of an iceberg. You're just
Exactly. And
looking
here,
at you're just looking at the pain. Like I would say, I'm feeling pain here, please can you bandage here because it's painful, but you're not looking at why you cut, why you hurt yourself, did you fall, you didn't look at all those things.
exactly. The root problem, the root cause
The
of the
root
problem.
problem,
But
yeah,
here
yeah.
in the States, especially for Black Americans,
Hmm.
we we just so into, oh my, and like I said, we call it, oh, my sugar's high. Oh, I need
Hmm.
insulin. Sticking themselves, oh, I need
Hmm.
insulin. And from what you're explaining, this could be avoided. This could be
Yeah, it's totally, totally, totally.
clearly avoided.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, I'm thankful so much to you for all this informative information on these nutrition topics and health topics, because I'm learning a ton. I'm
And I
learning
hope other people will learn too, because it's really important for people to be aware that there are things that just does. It's not just what is being said outside there. Like,
exactly.
there is something much deeper.
I give you
So,
I give you an example of Catherine's expert knowledge. I
mm,
do the cold dip plunge every single morning at the gym,
mm,
every single day, 5 days a week. I'm dipping in 34, 35, 36, 40-degree temperatures, water,
mm.
sitting there for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So as I'm working my way in, I tell Catherine I'm doing this or whatever. And she said, why don't you go deeper? Go down to your neck. You'll be surprised the wonders that it does to your brain, and it'll assist your brain. Well, I took that challenge. When I tell you it's the best advice I've ever gotten from her, things just started
Wow.
changing
Mm,
almost automatically. So once I got up to the neck, I get
mm,
this far. Now I'm thinking about going under.
You can totally go. You just have to. You have some blockage, like
Yeah,
you have some fear.
yeah,
Okay, and you just have to trust yourself, trust the body that it's capable of,
exactly,
healing. You
exactly,
accept it. And don't second think. Don't second guess. You go there and you dip yourself. And whatever bad thing can happen, you have people there to help you. So it's not like you're just
absolutely,
doing this alone. So you trust yourself and you trust the universe. There are people who are there to support you. And you just let yourself go.
exactly.
And for sure, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to change a lot.
What I'm finding that with this cold dip, it literally kills inflammation.
It kills inflammation, and it's just one thing that activates the mitochondria.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Isn't
So,
that
like when we say you have to look at how mitochondria is not functioning, one of the things that help mitochondria to come back to life, it's those shocks because it's shocking the system, and it's one of things that you reactivate. And as we grow old, we lose mitochondria, but you can also create more, and that's one way that you're creating more mitochondria.
ladies and
So
gentlemen, this information is a wealth of knowledge that I actually get here just by co-hosting this
yeah,
nutrition edition of the conversation featuring the lovely Catherine Githu. This is a wealth
yep.
of knowledge. I can't afford that
Yeah,
at all.
thank you. Yeah.
Good
So
stuff,
go
man.
deep, go
Good
deep,
stuff.
go deep, go deep, go deep. It's going to help you.
Will do.
So, and with that, you also do sauna, right?
Hmm.
Which also is the same, heat and cold. Those are two things that are going to really help your body, one, heal the inflammation and also activate those mitochondria.
Right. I have a regiment
Okay.
where. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I'm listening.
I have a regiment where I do things backwards, right?
Mm,
So I'll do the whirlpool. I'll do the whirlpool, the hot tub, and it's actually to ease the muscles and relax the muscles, get the muscles and the blood flowing.
yeah.
Then I go to the cold dip.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I go to the sauna. Then I go work out. So a guy asked me, he said, why you do that? I said, I got to
Mm,
relax the muscles before I tear them
of
down
course.
again.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for
he's
sure.
like, wow, that's different because everybody else does it the other way. I was like, well, I have a different ability, so
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
I gotta relax the muscle before I can get started or
And then
whatnot.
you
And
do
I
you
gotta tell you,
you
man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm saying you do what suits you, not
What
what's in
everyone
the
else is
menu. Yeah, not what everyone
doing.
is doing.
Exactly. Definitely not a follower. Definitely not a follower
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Let me get off
Okay.
my soapbox.
Okay. How is insulin resistance related to other diseases? That was really new for me because I never thought that we could have, I really looked for direct. There are indirect causes, but there are these direct cause where insulin resistance is really going to affect some biological going up, and so it's going
Mhm.
to create diseases. One, it is involved in all diabetes. So there is type 1 diabetes, there is, I understood there is 1.5 diabetes, there is pre-diabetes, there is diabetes, which type 2, and there is type 3, which Alzheimer's disease now is known as type 3 because it's the insulin resistant in the brain.
Right.
Okay. Insulin resistance is also directly related to heart disease. I understood that like 90% of people who are diabetic, they have heart disease or they end up having heart disease. Okay. It can also cause some cancers. It causes hormonal imbalances like PCOS and PCOS. It causes fat liver. That's when I talked about when the cells, the fat is stored in the wrong place. It's going to start
Hmm.
with the fat. That the fat and the muscles are the first one that start suffering insulin resistance. Before even you're told you have glucose stuff. your liver and the muscles, they're already insulin resistant because they have been coping. Obesity is also related to insulin resistant, neurological like Alzheimer's, sleep disorders, eye disease, and reproduction dysfunction. So sperm count, for example, it's related to insulin resistant. Infertility in women is also related to insulin resistant. So these are things that I was looking like. It's like we are walking zombies, right? We
Right.
we think we are healthy, but deep inside,
really
some
not,
stuff are
right.
happening. It's really, really bad. So yeah, insulin resistance is a condition that affect metabolism, inflammation, hormones, and vascular function.
Mm-hmm.
And now this one is the next topic is about how chronic inflammation, because me, I suffer from chronic inflammation. I have an autoimmune disease, and I wanted to know how does that come to relation with insulin resistance. And actually, it can either lead to, or insulin resistance can lead to autoimmune disease. One, because chronic inflammation is, it can worsen the the insulin resistant because of the inflammation. You're constantly immuno is activated, so the immune system is already overreacting, and that can really interfere with insulin signaling. Sorry, we have these cytokines. They are proteins that are produced. They are messages. Okay, they, when there is a problem, they are the ones that goes around to say, hey, we need help us. And these cytokines, most of the times, they are pro-inflammation, so they are going to create a lot of inflammation, which can affect the liver and the muscles, and also the fatty cells. They are going to block the glucose uptake. So when the body wants to do, when the cells want to take the glucose, it can't because there is a lot of inflammation. Okay. They also increase the reactive oxidative stress. These are the species. Sorry, these are the species. The like we have oxygen, and sometimes there is the lack of one neutron, I think, and that's when the oxidative starts happening, and it's going to increase the cytokines. They're going to increase those oxidative stress. So it's also going to raise cortisol, and as I said before, cortisol is the like anti-insulin, because when there is cortisol, the insulin is not working,
Right.
and so that is going to lead to the inflammation. I mean, insulin resistant. Okay, let me find myself. So, autoimmunity and insulin resistance, they feed each other. So, one can, autoimmune can disrupt insulin signaling, while insulin resistant can worsen immune system, I mean, immune function. Can high intake of medication affect insulin? That is very important, especially for people who have chronic illness and they're taking this medicine all the time. Some medication can disrupt insulin sensitivity directly, causing insulin resistance, while others will reduce insulin secretion or alter glucose absorption. So medications like glucocorticoids, these are steroids, which are massively given to people, especially those who have autoimmune diseases and those who have chronic illness. Immunosuppressors, which are myself, I took for a long time, antidepressants, hormonal therapies, statins, and diuretics. These medications are going to cause or affect the insulin resistance.
Mm.
Okay, so it's like you're healed. You're taking medication for something that is, but we always say no one medication that comes without side effects. So
Right.
when you're taking the painkillers, you're also on the other side slowly affecting their metabolism, and so you're going to have mostly the insulin resistant. And so, to mitigate the effects of medications, you need to have a good diet that is anti-inflammatory. You have to
Yeah.
have those micronutrients that are needed to help the body to create the insulin.
You know,
Who take go on?
speaking of like pain pills and medicine, what have you. I had some friends of mine who thought I was insane when I said I was going to find an alternative to combat the muscle spasms. As you know, when you lose the muscle mass and your nerves are damaged and whatnot, they want to pop you with all these, muscle spasm pills and all this stuff. And for me, it was making me feel so icky to the point to where my quality of life was constantly declining.
Oh,
And they were like, "Well, why don't you just take your pills?" I'm like, every time I take it, it makes me feel icky. I had to find an alternative to it. I mean, I'm 2 years into that alternative and I feel phenomenal. Yeah, I still get a
yeah.
little muscle spasm, but not like before when I was actually popping those pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really funny because it reminds me like when I started feeling like I didn't want to take the medications, like I would go for it. I'm in pain, but my body's like that thing in the gut, like I don't want it.
You don't want it.
And
Exactly.
yeah, you don't want it. I remember talking to my rheumatologist, and he was like, "You're suffering. Why are you letting yourself suffer?" But I think it's because one, my doctor, as I was having that autoimmune conditions, and so we were doing the testing, blood test all the time, and so he started
Hmm.
talking about the liver, and I knew something is not going well with the liver. But there is also that thing where I had come to understand that my medication was leading me to be high risk in cancer and a higher risk in heart disease.
Right.
So I was like, I have two kids. I am a single mom. And not even having kids, I mean, I was just about my early 30s. So it's like,
Yeah.
where, how is my life going to be if this is the way I am here right now, and I'm going to be taking this medicine for the rest of my life. So there
Exactly.
is that point where, like, the internal intelligence comes over and says, okay, please go
That's
down
right.
here. It's like you're saving yourself. If when I did this thing, I was like, I'm so happy to where I am now, because I can come forward and tell people, okay, fine, I used to be there and here I am. And yes, I will not tell people drop your medication the way I did. I did it cold turkey. I just like, I don't want to take medicines, and I was suffering, I
Right.
was crying and all that kind of stuff. But having to think that there is another way out. It's not just because I have nothing against the doctors. They don't know better, okay? And especially the doctors who don't go back into doing the courses, informing themselves, going to the seminars and all that to find out what is coming up,
Hmm.
because the systems are set up to treat the symptoms.
Pretty
Your
much.
doctor doesn't know much better than he was told. If you have these conditions, you give this medication. That's all he knows. He doesn't know what else can I look for, unless now these people who are in function medicine, where they're looking at the root causes of the why is
You
this
know, I,
happening.
I'm a true believer in no one knows your body like you. You
Of
only
course,
live with you. You live with you.
yeah, you
No
live
one
with it.
could ask.
Yeah,
No one could tell you more about your body than yourself. And
yeah,
it's
for
so
sure,
rewarding
for sure.
taking control of your wellness on your own. It's okay to consult. It's quite all right to consult, but make sure
Yeah,
you make a final decision because you have to live with that.
And that's the problem where I think we settling down into this kind of culture where we left our agencies and we gave them to someone else. The doctor said, you don't question it. I think the doctor is like the second God. If the doctor said, that's what you're going to say.
Exactly.
So what you're going to do. It's like I remember once some years back when my daughter was going to this small grade school. There was this lady who was walking like her neck almost was touching her shoulder.
Hmm.
And one day I approached her. I was like, I was feeling pain for her. I was like, "One, is it painful?" I was like, "What is it? What happened? Were you born that way?" I was like, "No, it's actually because I take a medicine and it gives me this side effect." And I looked at her. I was like, "Why don't you get out of the medication?" Oh,
Exactly.
my doctor says I should continue. It's like you changed your doctor. I mean, look for someone else who can give you something else. I mean, how long are you going to stay with that thing? Meaning, to some people, we have become so dependent that we don't think different.
That's right.
I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying to some, it's just like he knows better. The doctor, she or he knows better than I do know. And well, sorry to say, it's your body. If you feel things are not going well, please stop and seek some help from someone else. Look for another doctor who can maybe prescribe something different.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, why monitoring glucose spike isn't the solution? Okay, I have seen, I don't know whether for you, people who, I don't know whether it's just like a trend where people are just having patches, like you eat a meal and you measure your glucose spike. And I saw a lot of people like, oh, I'm eating this bowl of rice and let's see how it's going to be by the end of 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And well, and it became I know there is a lady who also have a very huge followers, and she has that kind of flattering that glucose spike that you hack your body. You can get some pills, you can eat whatever you want and have those pills, and they are not going to raise your blood sugar. As we have seen, it's not about the sugar, it's about the cell. So the question that I've always asked, if I eat that bread, if I eat that crackers or those biscuits, what am I feeding my cells? Okay, my blood glucose didn't go high, but what nutrients am I feeding that cell? So it is not about monitoring glucose. I understand that in the way the system is set up, there is no one standard for insulin. So it's not easy for doctors to tell you go and check your insulin. But
Right.
when you're checking your glucose, it's just once again, it's like you're feeling pain, but that insulin resistance has been there 10, 15 years. It has been working its way out. So you're just looking at, when you're looking, you have that glucose spike, means that your body is no longer taking insulin the way it's supposed to be. You're at the end of it. It's the end stage. It's not the early stage. So we should be very concerned about how are we eating so that we can reduce the insulin resistance, because glucose spike is not, it doesn't equal insulin resistance. Insulin resistance started a long time ago, and you need to focus into how you can bring the cell back to good health instead of just looking at how that curve is going. I also hear like there's some doctors and some people who are very well known, like I can't eat, how do you call this? Grapes, for example, because grapes are high in sugar.
Hmm.
and grapes are high in sugar, of course, they're going to create that higher spike, but they come with other vitamins, they come with polyphenols, they come with fiber. So looking at food as medicine and think that, okay, when I am eating something, I am supposed to ask myself, what am I eating? What is my cell going to feed? Okay. And asking yourself, and this podcast comes here hand in hand, is to say, if you have those glucose spike, ask yourself, where did the problem start in the beginning? What is the root cause of this? Instead of
Right.
how long are you going to monitor that glucose spike? Okay.
This is good stuff, man. Real good stuff. Always informative. Always informative. Always.
Thank you.
As always, you guys can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Taylor Kenny TV at tayken.com. Always catch us streaming 24/7. The nutrition edition of the conversation featuring the lovely nutrition coach, Catherine Githu from France.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
So, in closing,
Yeah. So, what can you do to reduce? There is a bug in my house. I'm looking at it up there. So, what can you do to reverse the insulin resistant? Is fast. This is what I also do. It's my protocol. Is you remove, you repair, and you restore. You start removing what is causing the problem. That is everything that is processed, high sugary food, a lot of high fat diets, especially saturated fat. You need to restore the health of the cells, and you also repair the gut, repair your way of living, like respecting that circadian rhythm, sleeping enough, moving, because the difference between someone who has glucose spike or who has diabetes and someone who is healthy, it's just a teaspoon of sugar. Hard to
mhm,
believe that, right? That
right.
means that person who has diabetes, the sugar is floating in the blood, and so all you need is to reduce how that sugar is staggering in the blood. And why this so is because I looked at it like, why is it bad if the sugar stays in the bloodstream? It's because sugar is becomes oxidative, and so it's going to damage the nerves. Do you know why people have eye problems or kidney nerves problems when they have diabetes? It's because of that high sugar becomes oxidative and it starts damaging the cells. Okay,
Hmm.
so you need a way to remove that sugar. The fat is going to be stored, and it can be stored in the arteries if it's flooding. These proteins, if they're not being, the insulin is not transporting them properly, they're going to stay in the surface and they're going to become glucose as well. And so, one of the largest part of the body that can help you reduce the insulin resistant is muscles. Muscles are the sink where the sugar goes. So, whoever has good muscles, they can eat, I will not say as much sugar as they want, but when someone has good muscles, they don't care. They don't have that problem of glucose anymore because every extra glucose you have, it goes to the muscles.
Hmm.
Because all we need is to clear the blood glucose. We don't want the blood. The blood is supposed to be clear. No nutrients are struggling there or stagnating there. So having muscles. So walk. There's one thing. If you're diabetic or if you are pre-diabetic, you eat, you walk. Every time you eat, when you walk, that food is going to be stored in the muscles instead of it flooding. So your goal is to remove or to assist your body to remove the circulating glucose and put it into the muscles. So building muscles is one of the most important things that anyone should do so that the blood, the excess sugar, glucose, or proteins, whatever they are, can be swept out from the surface, from the circulation.
Good stuff. This, as always, wonderful job. Wonderful job. I
Thank
truly
you.
enjoyed this podcast this morning on insulin resistance. I learned so much, and I'm going to share with my gym buddy who suffers a great deal from these shots. I mean, it's bad. It's real bad. And, he even during, like I said in the opening of the show, during his break on workouts, he's got to shoot himself up.
Okay.
That's got to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. Got it different.
Me, I'm not a doctor, but I would ask him if he is open to fasting. Because, okay, all you want to need to do is to remove the excess glucose, okay? Now,
Right.
him, I would say, if he's not type 1 diabetes, type 1 is an autoimmune disease. You can do nothing. There is nothing you can do about it,
Right.
okay? If he's type 2, that means he didn't have diabetes before and it came up. Although I understand there are people who can be diagnosed with type 1 even later in life. So he understands himself is if it's type 1. If it's type 2, then he can do something about it. One, there are two diets that I have seen that they work well. You can reduce the fat. That's the low fat diet, because once again, remember what we say, the cell is clogged with fat, right? So you stop bringing fat inside. Okay. So when you stop bringing fat, the body is going, and him is good. He's going to the gym. So he's working out. So the extra, the clogged cells, they're going to use the fat that is there because there's no more fat that is coming, right? The other one is ketogenic diet. You're not eating any carbohydrates. You're bringing, so when you have no carbohydrates, you have no glucose that is going up because there's no sugar. Ketogenic diet is that's how it works. It's like, I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying, when you look at them, you can go vegan, you can go whole plant based, but all what you want is you reduce either the sugar intake, that's carbohydrates, or you reduce the fat intake. Okay. The most problematic, where the things goes wrong and where we start creating this insulin resistant, is where we eat meals that are both high in fat and they're high in sugar. Okay, that combination, you have to break the combination. You use, either you go ketogenic or you go low fat. The other thing is you can also go vegan, but that clean vegan, like you eat clean food.
Right.
And fasting. Fasting is one of the most, I think, the most helpful tool that you can use, because, and I can say you can fast for one day, you can fast for 12 hours, for 24 hours, you can go up to 3 days, but start by fasting. Like, if you take your meal at 7 o'clock, you're not eating at to 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. You
Right.
let your body to fast. All you want is fast the sugar that is around here to be cleared, and the body can go inside and take the fat that is already in the cells.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we're gonna call it on this one this morning. This is a wonderful, 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 very informative podcast this morning from the lovely nutritious coach Catherine Githu on insulin resistance. I learned something. I'm more than sure you guys are going to learn something as well. So you can always get Catherine on foodandheal.com for her wonderful blogs on nutrition and whatnot. She also has a great book out on
Yeah, I have a
inflammatory.
book. I don't have it.
You
I
don't have
have a book of, I don't have a book with me. It's about healthy recipes, and that's a place to start with, because actually those recipes, they have no sugar added into it, and they come in handy with a lot of fiber, a lot of proteins, and good health healthy foods that are going to fight inflammation and can help you reduce that insulin resistance. On the other side, I also have coaching, and I help people, especially women who are going through chronic illness, to use food. Just like I said here, we work with removing, repairing, and restoring. So we look at what is not going on, what are the root causes of what you're going through, and then we can come up with a strategy on how you can bring that into life and you add that into your health, into your daily life. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And, get your life back, get your health back.
So if you guys looking for wellness and nutrition to connect with Catherine Githu, actually it's at food, the letter N, heal.com. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you.
So until next Thursday, we truly appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support. We'll definitely talk on next Thursday for another nutritious edition from the lovely Catherine Githu. You want to close out, Catherine?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Trent, for being here and allowing things to take place. And I appreciate everything and everyone. Thank you. Have a nice time. Talk to you on Thursday.
You guys be epic.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.